Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you're all doing really well. If you're new here, I'm Sally and this is my channel Secret Life of a Seamstress, where I love to talk all about sewing, making clothes and all other kind of crafts too, sewing, knitting, hand sewing. There's quite a variety here on this channel. So today's video wasn't what I had planned to film for this weekend. I was actually hoping to put out a fabric haul and sewing plans video this weekend, but unfortunately some of the fabric that I really wanted to include in that video has been delayed and it's not arrived yet, so I'm putting that video off until next week in the hope that by the time we get to next week all of my fabric will be here and I'll have some really nice bits and pieces to show you. So I'm sorry if you were expecting that video this weekend. I know I did put it up on Instagram, but instead I thought I would just pop on and do a little chat about everything I've been sewing and knitting and reading lately, and I've also got a couple of other bits and pieces to share too. So as always, I will just put timestamps in the video description just in case you are here only for the sewing or only for the knitting or whatever, just so that you can jump around to what you are interested in. So without further ado, let's get started. I think today I will start with knitting actually, because then I can talk about what I'm wearing. By the way, it is so hot here today in England. We are in for a 30-degree day, so I'm trying to film this quite early in the morning. I really have a problem with my camera overheating when it gets warm like this, so I'm going to try and talk quickly and hopefully we won't get too hot and bothered along the way. I'm not complaining at all because it's so lovely to have some lovely hot weather and some actual summertime. So yeah, I'm completely here for this weather, and it lets me get all of my lovely handmade summer clothes out to wear as well. So anyway, let's talk about knitting, and I'll start with what I'm wearing. So in my last catch-up video I had shared the top that I'm wearing in progress, and it is now finished and I'm wearing it today. So this is the Tulsa Tank by Rebecca Chow. I'm sure if you're a knitter you will have seen and heard of her patterns because I think they are very popular. It's perfect really for a hot day like this, although I will say that I have used an acrylic yarn to make this top, so it's possibly one that might get a little bit sweaty as we get further into the day and the temperatures rise. It would be lovely in a cotton, it would definitely keep you cooler. For some reason I actually went for an acrylic yarn for this and I'm still not quite sure why. I think I was just in a rush to get some yarn and I popped into Hobbycraft and just picked up this one because it was the first yarn that I saw in a colour that I liked. Anyway, I really just wanted to have a go at this pattern because I'd heard that it was a really nice one, and yeah, I have to say I'm really happy with how this turned out actually. It was a super quick knit. I think I knit this in about 2.5 weeks, which is very quick for me. I'm normally quite a slow knitter. I tend to just knit in the evenings. Really, I don't get a lot of time to knit because I would prefer to be sewing. So yeah, this one did come together really quickly. So with this tank top, there are a few different designs that you can do. You can make a crew neck version, or you can make a square neck version, or you can make the version that I've gone for here, which is the V-neck version. And the V-neck version I would say is probably the quickest to knit because there's no finishing in it. You don't have to knit any edging, so there's no I-cord, there's no ribbing or anything like that. The stitches are just literally slipped around the V and around the armhole. And once you get to the point of actually shaping for the neckline, these triangles for the straps come together so quickly. I think I knit like 2 of them in an hour or so in the evening. And as you can see, I'll just stand up and show you the length of it actually. So it just comes to below my waistband, and I've actually got these on with my Tyra trousers today, so it's a really nice length I think. I actually did crop this slightly more than the pattern suggested. I did a few less centimetres than she suggested for the length, but obviously it just depends on the length that you want. I felt like this was going to be quite cropped when I'd finished it, but actually it's the perfect length for just sitting on waistbands, and that's what I wanted really, just something to wear with trousers and skirts like this. One thing I would say about this is, if you know me and you watch my videos regularly, I always say that I'm never really sure about low-cut cami tops like this and strappy tops. So this is actually V-cut at the back as well, and it does feel quite revealing for me, I would say, but I do feel quite comfortable in it as well. I don't feel like I'm always pulling it around, but I think what I would have preferred is if the back was sort of fully round neck and then it came into a V at the front. I had thought about trying to play around with the pattern to see if I could maybe adapt the pattern myself to do that. I couldn't quite work it out, so I thought for my first version I would just stick to the pattern and see how I felt in it. I'll just turn around quickly so that you can see the back of it as well. Yeah, it is quite low really, and I have actually got this on with a strapless bra today. I did have it on with a normal bra and I felt as though I was always sort of moving the straps around to try and cover the bra straps. I feel much more comfortable actually now wearing a strapless bra, where I know I don't have to fiddle around with that kind of thing. So yeah, just something to note too. And also I have blocked this and I tried to get rid of some of the curling, but it does still want to curl in at the armholes and a little bit at the top of the V as well. So that to me is slightly annoying as well, and I wonder if there's a way around that. Maybe if you knit a couple of garter stitches either side of the V, maybe would that stop the curling? I don't know. Maybe if you're more experienced than me in knitting, you could let me know a couple of tips for how to avoid that. If you do sort of edge the triangles, I'm not quite sure how that would work when you go into the V-neck line. So yeah, if you do have any experience with that and you want to pop a comment below just to give us some advice, that would be very helpful. It is knit bottom up, this one actually, so it's a bit more difficult to try on than if you're knitting top down. That's something I found as well. But yeah, other than that, it was a really lovely pattern. I think if you're going to try it, maybe knit it in a cotton or a cotton blend or something rather than the acrylic that I've gone for here. But I do really love this colour actually, and I think it will go with lots of my clothes. So that is my first knitting make. So sticking with knitting for a minute or two, I thought I would just share with you what I've started. So again, I mentioned in my last video that I wanted to originally knit the Tilda T pattern before I decided to knit the Tilda tank, but I was scared to give that one a go because I'd never attempted German short rows. It's a bit of a long story. If you watched my previous cat top video, you'll know the whole drama about a vest that I was knitting in 2 different colours. But anyway, from that whole disaster with the 2 different colours on my stripy vest top, I ended up having some white cotton left over that I can't now use for that vest. I was at that point where I'm actually waiting for the yarn to arrive so that I can continue with my stripy vest. I've decided to go for the off-white colour, by the way, and just re-knit the front flat, and then I'm just going to sew it up. But for now, I'm just waiting for that new cotton yarn to arrive. And in between, I didn't really want to be knitting on my yellow fisherman's rib, the first cardigan, because it's been so hot. I just didn't want to hold the mohair. It just felt so hot and fluffy. So I decided to cast on the Tilda T and see how I got on with it with the cotton yarn that I now can't use for my other vest. This is getting very waffly, I'm sorry. It's one of those hot waffly days, I think. It's possibly going to be a waffly video. But yeah, I thought, well, I've got this yarn, I've got the pattern, I want to try out German short rows. I can just give this a go, and it doesn't really matter if it goes wrong because I've got the yarn anyway. I haven't bought anything specifically for the project. I'm just going to sort of cast it on and see how it goes. So I did that, and I am now at the point where I have done all of my German short rows, and I'm so happy that I gave it a go. Because now I know, just as you all told me in the comments, that they're not half as scary as I had made them out to be in my head. I see what you mean. Most people said to me they're not hard at all, but you just need to sort of keep up with where you are in the pattern so that you don't forget where you are. So I just sat in the garden last night actually, and I just knit until I got past all the German short rows so that I could remember where I was. And yeah, I'm really liking how this is coming together at the moment. I can see how the short rows are working in terms of the fact that it is higher at the back, so you just get that shaping there, and then this is the front. I actually need to change this wire actually and put a bigger wire in now because I'm getting to the point where all the stitches are really bunched up. So I think I'm going to see if I've got a longer wire that I can put this on. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this so far, and I'm treating this as a test knit. So I'm trying to get rid of my perfectionist tendencies and just give it a go and see how it works. And I'm going to then learn more for knitting in terms of learning German short rows and in terms of doing raglan increases in the round, which I've never done before. I was a little bit disappointed with this pattern because I originally bought it because I really liked the eyelet version that she's wearing on the pattern image. But it turns out, and correct me if I'm wrong or if I've missed anything, but I don't think the eyelet pattern is included in this Tilda T pattern. So you only really get the basic tee pattern, and then there's another document which gives you ideas of how you can sort of customize the tee and make it your own. And in that document it just tells you can put an eyelet pattern into it. Basically, it doesn't tell you how to do it. And I was a bit like, oh, what a shame. I really wanted to do the eyelet pattern, and I was going to give up and just knit it in stocking stitch and see how I got on with it. But then I thought, well, actually, this is going to be a test knitting garment. Maybe I will just play around and see if I can include my own eyelet pattern. So that's also what I've done. So I've not put any eyelets in until after the German short rows, which was about 10 or 11 rows in. And then I've done an eyelet row. Can you see? Oh, my yarns just fell on the floor. So what I'm going to do is just do an eyelet row every 10 rows and just have a little bit of pattern and texture in it. And I'm going to try and sort of get my head around the eyelet repeats and doing the increases as well, and trying to keep on top of counting all of that. And again, that will be another thing that I can just learn on the job, as it were, and just treat this as like a test knit and see how I get on with it. So I'll keep you up to date with how I'm getting on with that. But thank you so much to all of you that really encouraged me in the comments of my last video, and you also pointed me to some really helpful YouTube videos as well, which I used. I used 2 videos actually, one from Blue Mouse Knits, which is really lovely, really easy to follow, and then I also looked at the Pearl Soho video as well, which was also really helpful. So thank you so much for your encouragement with that. Okay, so let's move on to sewing then, and I have 3 sewing makes to share with you that haven't been seen anywhere yet, even on Instagram. Actually, that's a lie, one of them has. One of them was in my last week's YouTube video. So I have two sewing makes that haven't been shared anywhere yet. They are brand new and quite hot off of the sewing machine. So first of all, I'll just quickly share, if you haven't seen this Co-ord set, which I made in last week's YouTube video, I have a full sew along video of me making this one. So I won't talk too much about it, but just in case you haven't seen it, this is something that I have been sewing recently. This is a little Co-ord set of the Ashton top by Helen's Closet with the added sleeves, and the Sapphire trousers by Tilda and the buttons, which I've just cropped to make shorts, and I've also lined these as well because the fabric was very see-through. And I'm really pleased with how that came together. It was so lovely to sew, and I'm looking forward to wearing that on holiday, perhaps, hopefully, fingers crossed. So yeah, I will link that video down below just in case you have missed that one. Also in sewing, I had a lovely bit of time on Saturday afternoon the other day to do some sewing, and I had this viscose linen in my stash, which was a kind of beigey colour, and I thought I would just sew myself another pair of Tyra trousers by Plow & Patterns. You know how much I love this pattern. But I have all of 4 pairs. It's also what I'm wearing today, by the way, but I have 4 pairs and now 5 with this one of these trousers, and I really do wear them all the time. They're just so easy to put on in summer, and you'll know if you do go out to the high street or keep an eye on high street fashion just how popular linen is in the shops at the moment, and how popular in particular linen trousers are, and they just seem to be everywhere. And like I say, they're just so lovely and easy to wear, so comfortable and great for summertime. And I had this linen in my stash. This is what I actually brought a long while ago because I was going to make the Blanca flight suit from it, and then just realised that it wasn't quite the right fabric, so it kind of sat in my stash and I didn't really know what to do with it, and then realised that I really could do with actually another linen pair of Tyras, because I have a navy pair which I really love, and I really just wanted a lighter pair basically. So I've just made these completely according to the pattern as always, but what I've just done with the waistband is elasticate it and put a drawstring in as well. I do really like a drawstring pair of trousers. I think the bow at the front looks really nice sometimes, depending on what you're wearing, of course. The Tyras come together really quickly. I think I sewed these in about 2.5 hours maybe, not very long at all. Obviously, if you are going to be putting the drawstring in, then it does take you a little bit of extra time, and you also need to just cut the drawstring tie as well and put the buttonholes in, so that just adds on to the whole process. But if you're making the Tyra trousers as they are quick and simple 2-hour make, I would say. They're very quick and easy. So yeah, not too much to say about these really. They're just going to be a wardrobe staple for summertime, I think. I can just pop on with a vest or something like this actually. I guess this top would go quite nicely with them. And I highly, as you know, recommend the Tyra trouser pattern. I think the legs on this pattern are just perfect for me, really. They're nice and wide, but they're not too wide and they're not too slim either. And the length is pretty good as well. I think I turn up quite a big weighty hem on these of about 2 inches. I do sometimes when I'm working with a bit of a heavier fabric like a good weighty hem so that's why I kept the length this time and just took a larger hem on those ones. And then I've also managed to sew myself up a new dress, which I'm so pleased about. I'm really enjoying sometimes just having sewing time. I think it's really important actually for me at the moment to have sewing time where I'm just sewing and not worrying about filming stuff. It can be so easy really just to feel as though I have to film and document everything that I'm doing, and sometimes it sort of takes away the fact that sewing is also my hobby as well as work, if that makes sense. So yesterday I just had a full sewing day of just sewing and not filming anything. I think I took 1 photo throughout the whole thing. Anyway, I'm so happy with how this turned out. So a little story behind this one. A couple of weekends ago I took my daughter shopping and I left them to get on with it, 3 teenage girls, and I had a little wander on my own around the shops. And I feel like there's nothing that inspires me more really than just having a wander around the shops and just seeing what's out there and seeing what I can use for inspiration. And it really gives me good ideas for patterns that I've got that I can use again or tweak and change and things like that. And you know that if you follow me, I talk about that quite a lot. Anyway, I'd seen a lovely stripy Reformation sort of style dress in Nobody's Child, and I absolutely loved the look of it, and it just reminded me of this lovely pattern that I've made a couple of times now, but I'd kind of forgotten about, and that's the Taker blouse dress by Named Clothing. This is such a pretty dress. It has this empire bust line at the top here. It's fully buttoned down, so it is a shirt dress, really, I guess. And the skirt is long and fitted, and it's actually sewn together in lots of different panels. Can you see that on the camera? This is actually so long. I didn't realise quite how long it was holding it like this. So yeah, they had a very similar dress in Nobody's Child, and it just set me thinking about how I could sort of recreate my own similar kind of dress. So since I was in town already, I headed over to John Lewis to see what fabric they had so that I could make my own stripy Taker blouse dress. And luckily for me, they had this lovely light cotton. You can probably see how light this is if I hold it up to the light. It is pretty see-through, so it's definitely going to be one that I need to wear a slip or something underneath, but it's such a lovely light cotton. It almost feels as though it's got a bit of linen in it. It is 100% cotton, or that's what it's listed at anyway, but it just feels so lovely and so breathable, and it's got some softness to it as well. And I sometimes, as I've said before, don't like wearing 100% cotton. It can feel quite restrictive, but this is a really lovely soft cotton, particularly since I've washed it. So pleased with it. I had a really nice sewing day yesterday putting this together, apart from the fact that I did manage to sew 2 of the panels the wrong way round. So something I would say if you are planning to make this dress is just be careful when you're putting all of the panels together. There's quite a few, so for each front panel there's 2 separate panels, and then at the back we've got this sort of middle piece which is cut on the fold, and then there's 2 other panels that join that either side. And what I had actually managed to do was sew 2 of these panels kind of inside out basically. So I'd sewn this panel together with the side seam of the dress, and unfortunately I had sewed it together and overlocked it, so I had to sit in the garden and spend some time unpicking those panels, and it was a bit of a headache, I have to say, especially in this light cotton, because it just wanted to rip and fray everywhere. But anyway, I persevered and got it done. And if I hadn't had that happen, I would say that this dress comes together surprisingly quickly. It did take me pretty much the whole of a school day, which is around 5 hours I think, but I did set aside the whole day to sew, and I did get this done in that time, even with my error. So yeah, if you do have that amount of time and you want to sew a dress like that, then it can be done in a day. Yeah, it's a lovely pattern and I'm so pleased with this version. I'm finding my taste in fabric is really changing at the moment. I'm sewing much more with cottons and linens than I am with viscoses, which I used to sew all the time and wear all the time. It's really funny how your taste changes, isn't it? I have a couple of viscose versions of this dress, But I have to say, in the cotton, I love it even more because you can really see the details. So you can actually really see the shape of the empire bust, and the lovely facing, and the sleeves just stand out a little bit more than they do in my viscose version. So thoroughly pleased with this. And I've just finished it with some white plastic buttons, and I'm really looking forward to maybe wearing that on a holiday sometime, or maybe even in this country if it stays warm. Just a little bit of book chat this week because I've not got on very much further again from when I last updated you in a podcast. So I'm actually about halfway through The Household now by Stacey Halls, and I'm really loving this. It's got that Stacey Halls old-fashioned style that she just does so well, I think, and I'm just really enjoying reading this. I'm finding it very immersive, and I love the way she can sort of conjure a mood with her writing. So this is about a house which Charles Dickens set up for fallen women. And I think what I love about Stacey Hall's books is just that she uses something that's really happened in history, and she kind of creates fiction around that. So you kind of learn a little bit of history while you're reading a fiction book as well, which I really like. So I am thoroughly enjoying that one. So I'll keep you updated with how I find that when I'm finished. And then I thought I'd just mention this one as well, which I picked up from a Christian bookshop. This is a book called Strength for Each Day by Joyce Meyer. I'm really loving reading each page of this in the morning when I do my quiet time. So this is actually a dated book, and I didn't pick it up until about June, so I've started halfway through the year, but each day it gives you a dated reading with a Bible verse and just how you can apply it to your own life. And I'm finding it really good for those days when you just don't have time or energy to do a proper Bible study or anything like that, and you just want to have a quick reading. And I'm finding what she says really helpful as well. You can really apply it. It's really kind of down to earth, and you can apply it really easily to your own life. So yeah, I thought I would just mention that one, and they're very quick readings as well. You can do them in like a minute or two. So like I say, if you're in a rush, you can just pick this one up, do it in the morning or even in the evening, and just sort of have a little think about it and how you can apply it to your own life. So I thought I would mention that one as well. And then lastly, I just have a couple of new bits and pieces to share with you that I've picked up I thought might be interesting. So at the same time I popped into Hobbycraft to get the yarn for this top, I also saw that they were having a half price pattern sale. So I had a little look at what they had, and I picked up 2 new patterns. One of them was one that I already wanted to sew actually, which is Simplicity S9702. I've mentioned this pattern quite a lot. I think I mentioned it in a pattern roundup, and I also talked about it in my recent newsletter because I love the look of it. It's just, again, it's quite similar to the Taker actually, in the fact that it's got this lovely empire bust line and v-neck, and then it's got 3 quite wide gathered tiers and very similar sleeves actually to the Taker dress as well. So yeah, it is going to be quite an oversized style dress. So I had originally thought that I'd really like to make a white floaty version of this. I thought that would be lovely for summertime. But since going back to the Taker pattern, I've actually thought that that would be really lovely in a white Broderie Anglaise. I think that would be so pretty. So I'm kind of between both patterns now. I feel in a way that maybe that would suit me better because I am quite small and short, and I wonder if a dress like this sometimes will just swamp me, whereas the Taker is quite fitted. It's still got that lovely sort of maxi style, but it's not quite as drowning. So yeah, I'm gonna have a little think about that. Let me know what you think. Let me know whether you would sew a white one of these, or would you say a white Taker dress? Let me know in the comments. I would really love you to help me decide. Yeah, I picked up that one, and then I also picked up another shirt dress, which is this one, another Simplicity S9544. It's got a utility style to it, some nice utility style pockets, just a round crew neck and some quite puffy sleeves, but it's also got a drawstring waist and pockets in the side as well, so it's quite sort of casual looking. And what I liked about this one is that you can make a really nice mini or midi dress, but you can also make a jumpsuit as well with nice wide legs, and I really like the look of that actually. I love that as a jumpsuit. I think that looks really pretty, and again perfect for sort of in between weather. So if you are in summertime but it's not that hot, then sometimes a jumpsuit like that is a really nice thing to wear, isn't it? So yeah, I was really pleased with those 2 bargain patterns. I think they were only about £4 or £5 each. And then when I was in John Lewis buying my stripy fabric for my dress, I also was very, very tempted by some charm packs. They have a lovely selection in our John Lewis with William Morris cottons and Liberty cottons and Tilda cottons, and I always love the look of them, and it always really inspires me to start making patchwork quilts again. And there's something about summertime as well that always brings me back to patchwork. I don't know what it is. I think just sort of sitting in the garden with a patchwork quilt on you in the evening when it's chilly, it just, I don't know, I really like it. Really like the idea of that. And they had these charm packs by Tilda, so these are still in the plastic and I hope they won't glare too much. I'll just get one of them out actually. They're so lovely and well packaged that I don't really like to disturb them. So these are already cut, they're pre-cut charm packs. They're 5-inch pieces. Tell you what, I'm actually going to open this. I have to get over my fear of opening things. So that's the pattern that's on the front, and then on the inside you've just got loads of coordinating fabrics, and they're just so lovely and so pretty. Tried to pick up 2 packs that looked quite as though they went together, and I also got this mustard floral pack as well. So this one is more mustards and pinks and greens and things, but I think they will still go quite nicely with the blue. And what I mainly love about patchwork is just seeing all the different colours and the different designs together. So what I'm planning to do with this is actually just sew myself a really simple patchwork square quilt. That's one of them. So you get the floral designs, and then you usually as well just get some sort of filler fabrics as well, like the ginghams and the stripes, which you can kind of pad out between the florals. And when it comes to patchwork, I'm not very ambitious, I would say. I love the look of just patchwork squares together. I know with patchwork you can do some beautiful designs, all these pretty flowers and diamonds and things like that, but for me it doesn't really appeal to me at the moment to do that kind of intricate work with patchwork. I just love to piece the patchwork pieces together, the squares, and just sort of form a quilt full of fabrics that I love. And I made a quilt for my daughter. I'm just going to pop and get it actually to show you. But I've made this for my daughter when she was quite little. It's just under single bed size. And so it's got a lovely patchwork panel in the middle, and then I've just sort of bordered it with the white fabric and then some other florals, and then sort of padded the middle of the patchwork blocks out, if that makes sense. And I still love this now. I just love going into her bedroom and looking at it and looking at all the different fabrics and how they mix and match together. And it's just, this is quite faded actually as well. It's been in her bedroom, probably in the window, and the sun's probably faded it a little bit. But again, I just think that is the charm of a patchwork quilt. The more you wash it, the more you use it, the more it hangs around your house. It just gets to the stage where they just feel so much more cozy, and I love patchwork so much. So I'm thinking that I'll probably just do something similar actually and make a similar patchwork quilt with those squares, and just sort of use a different or a contrasting fabric to maybe pad it out, make it a little bit bigger. And then I would just use something on the back as a contrast. I do sell the Tilda fabrics by the metre, so you can back it with Tilda if you want to. Quite a pricey way of doing it, I have to say. But if you're going to have the quilt in your house for years and years, then, you know, it's worth it in the long run, I think. So yeah, that's another sewing plan I have. I'm still working on my hand-pieced hexie quilt as well, but that hasn't come out for quite some time. I am a little bit more inspired to get on with it in the summertime because it's a really nice thing that you can just do sitting in the garden, so I need to get that out. But I always feel like hand sewing time and knitting time kind of compete for the hours that I have to do sitting down crafts. I generally just want to knit, whereas I need to sort of make myself get on with the hexie quilt pieces as well, otherwise that really never will get done. And I already feel like it's going to be a project that's going to last me about 100 years. But it's all about the process sometimes, not about the end result, isn't it? So anyway, I think I need to stop talking now because my camera battery has already overheated about 4 times and I've had to change it. So I'm sorry if this video is a little bit choppy, and I'm also feeling very hot myself. So I will stop talking now and say thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's mishmash video of lots of different crafts and bits and pieces. I hopefully will be back next week with my planned fabric haul and sewing plans video. I really do need to get on with that because I'm kind of late to the party with my sewing plans for this year. I can't believe we're already at the end of June. I should have been thinking about this way before now, but I am beginning to realise that I'm actually quite a last minute person when it comes to plans, and I have to wait sometimes to get inspired by what's around before I actually decide what to sew. Don't forget you can follow me over on Instagram if you want to too for more photos and day-to-day behind the scenes. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I also have a Patreon group as well with lots more videos, tutorials, tips and things like that, and I'd love to have you over there too. Otherwise, take care everyone, enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.